Final race on the programme, a really good Class 3. It's over the 1,400 metres with two first starters, including Beauty Miles. Makes his Hong Kong debut, won his last two starts in New Zealand. Simply Brilliant, been run up on all his three starts so far. Conti won all three starts. Dynamic Eagle, another Hong Kong debutant, roundabout third over the mile last time out. Romantic Journey, Super Lucky, A Beautiful, all been going around at big prices. So to a certain extent has the 13 in Sharp Hunter. Now we're back at the touchscreen for the final race here, Brett, and Conti unbeaten. He's raced on the pace most of the time, and probably little reason to change that. Yes,
Andrew, the speed mapperers, if there's such a word, have suggested that potentially even could find the front and roll on here, Conti, and just get into stride. We have seen, seen him now in a couple of starts, and we've sort of worked out the type of horse that he is. He's a gradual builder of the pace. He's not a real dash type, so it wouldn't surprise me if Joe took him to the front should the option be there, rolled on. The two newcomers, Dynamic Eagle, raced handy in his races in New Zealand. You'd expect he'd posse up. Beauty Miles did show some tactical versatility, but I'm not sure he's quite ready. He has had a setback. Of the others, maybe Simply Brilliant is one that could probably be a little bit sort of maybe further forward if Zach Purton so desires.
All right, he's the Frankel gelding, of course. Track work, what clues, Paul?
Well, we're going to have a look at one of the first starters here, Beauty Miles. He's had some hoof problems since he's been here. Tommy Berry aboard. Don't know if he's quite tuned up. He's got Prince Serene back in New Zealand, and as Brett mentioned, did win his last two, most impressively actually. He looked like a really nice horse. Simply Brilliant, as this is him. He's had 3 starts, 3 seconds, run well on all occasions. Zach Purton on aboard here, and he knows the horse, having ridden him behind Ping Hai Star last start. And Conti, the favourite, we thought would show Conti. He's going really nicely here. Just a 400-metre gallop for him. And the last one we're going to show one extra here since it's the last race, and that one's going to be Dynamic Eagle, another first starter. So you'll see him down the back straight there as well. He's a recent trial winner here, and he's 1190 pounds. He's had 5 trials in total.
Blinkers on as well, but he wore those when he raced overseas. All right, well, let's start with Simply Brilliant. So he's still yet to win, but he's been pretty solid in defeat on all his starts so far. This is the one most recently. The other horses to take note of are Marvel Joy in behind here, and the other one being Romantic Journey.
Yeah, not interested in those two at this stage, Andrew. Marvel Joy and Romantic Journey. You just see here Simply Brilliant. Zach Purton just sat on him for a while here, and then when he pushed the button, he sort of quickened, but it took a few strides for him to sort of build the revs. We looked at the speed map before. He's drawn 11, Paul. I wonder whether or not Zach might try and get this outside of Conti should he want to take on the pace, because I wouldn't like to see Simply Brilliant giving Conti 3 or 4 lengths at the top of the stretch. I mean, it'd be a task too tall, I would have thought, on that occasion.
Yeah, you want to get him rolling, I think. That's the key, because he looks like a mile wouldn't be a problem for him. As you say, it takes a little while just to tune up there or get his revs up. And he got beaten by a good horse here, I think.
Yeah, so. Ping Hai Star just beat him for a turn of acceleration there. So, yeah, maybe it might be an option to roll forward from that barrier.
He still does have a higher rating than this horse, Conti, at the moment, who's working his way through. He's up to a mark of 78 now, Conti. The other horse to take note of here, maybe as a minor place possibly, is A Beautiful, but Conti the main interest.
Yeah, and I said before, he's not really a sort of dash or a sort of sit sprinter, but he has reeled off a 22-1 and a 22-28 final 400. But because he's so big and such a big striding animal, he's sort of a little bit deceptive in that respect, but he can reel off a good sectional. But I think he's more potent, sort of rolling at a higher speed and taking the sting out of the opposition. You can see here he took the sting out of Healthy Joyful late, didn't he, just with his pure ability. Just getting better and better with racing, and serious animal.
Yeah, unbeaten, and everything he's doing right. He's a very professional horse. He'll be odds on, but he'll be very hard to beat.
If the Classic Mile was in another month or so's time, he could be in it. It's just come a little bit soon for him.
Yeah, and with we looked at the speed map earlier, there's no pace. Should he roll, or should he have rolled in the Classic Mile, it would have been interesting to see what the opposition could do to him.
Absolutely. All right, next one we're going to have a look at is Dynamic Eagle. So we're at the trials here, and he's got all the gear on, the blinkers, the hood, the lot. What's he shown us?
Yeah, well, he's got ability, this horse. Now, he's had 2 wins out of his 3 starts in New Zealand. They're all on sort of soft or heavy track, so he does like a bit of sting out of the ground by guillotine. He's 1190. He's had 5 trials, but he's got some pace. I can see him posse up behind, and he has won 1 trial since he's been here, and he hit the line pretty strongly in this one.
Yep, I didn't mind the effort. He'll get a nice run in the race too from the barrier, and he's got natural speed, which he showed in those performances in New Zealand. So I think he'll be outclassed in the end, but might be able to sneak in for some minor prize money.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think he can run on late. I'd stack him in for 4th.
All right, that's Dynamic Eagle. The other first starter is Beauty Miles, and his jockey is Tommy Berry.
Beauty Miles, Tommy, has his first run in Hong Kong on the weekend. What are your expectations?
He's had a little bit of a rush prep, obviously, to get to a derby, and he's a really nice horse, but he's had a few little issues along the way. He's been working really well, and he's got a lovely demeanour about himself. He carries himself well, and he's got a really nice action. So he's got all the makings to be a nice horse, and he comes over with some great form from New Zealand. So just got to take whatever happens on the weekend. You got to expect that there's a lot of improvement there, and you know, he's a nice horse going forward, but once again he's drawn a bit awkward as well, where he's not going to get all the favours. So just look for him to improve after the weekend.
All right, so Beauty Miles to improve out of this. Conti, though, Paul, very hard to beat.
Yeah, he looks that way, isn't he? Got him on top. He's very hard to oppose, Conti. He's unbeaten. Simply Brilliant looks the standout Quinella. Roundabout's been running well since he's been with Tony Millard, and Dynamic Eagle, the first starter. So we went 4, 3, 8 and 5, and I'll be playing a test around those 4 as well.
I got the same 4, slightly different order. I went with Conti as the on-top selection. I'm going to throw in Roundabout. He's had another trial since that last start, third behind New Elegance. It was a terrific performance on the trial track. I think, as Paul said, Tony Millard's got him flying, this horse. So 4 to beat 8, then 3 Simply Brilliant, and Dynamic Eagle, 4, 8, 3 and 5.
There you go. I've gone 4, 3, 8 as well, but I've got the other first starter, Beauty Miles, in. Right, on to statistics for this week. And Danny Shum, say hopefully a speedy recovery for him, but he's the stat, Paul. Yeah,
look, we're having a look at his stats. When he has horses that have run second, what happens next start? And he's got a really good strike rate of horses coming out and winning. He's 42%, in fact. You see, well, that's a first 3 rate for them after they've run second. So he's had 19 runners that we've looked at in the recent times, with 5 winners, 2 seconds and a third. Sun Touch being one of them as well. And so Sun Touch ran second at his last start. I think he can win. And Healthy Joyful being another, which I know you guys like.
Yeah. Well, I hope Sun Touch runs second, actually, because that's Avellino's race. But straight into the best bets, Paul, what have you got?
I'm going to go with the first starter, Thou Shall Sing. I've really liked his trials, very well educated, and did win that trial really nicely in New Zealand before he got here. So we'll give him a chance with National Will. And Chris So's got a really good record with the first starters. Flame Lily's got a good draw for his 3rd start here in Hong Kong. He's ran 7th at his last start when he was wide all the way. Karis Tita knows the horse well, and Frankie Law's got him going well. And to play of the day, we're going to go in the big one. I like the test here. Nothing I like more, Exultant, Rivet and a Lockheed. Box the 4 up, 24 combinations, and away you go.
We're going to tip in an even race, but a good price about Lucky Time, who was unlucky last outing. He's a horse that's got some ability, and I think a clear run will see him go pretty close, 4-5 for Zach Purton. And then Mickey Rich, stepping up to the longer trip. He might be able to jump and roll forward from the wide gate and give a bit of cheek at a price. A bit of cheek from Mickey. 2, 4 and 9 is the QQP in that very race, with Healthy, Joyful and Trepic, the other 2 to include.
All right, Dances with Dragon for me. I think this is a horse going places. Up to the 1,200 metres. Don't worry about the draw. He'll drop in. He'll flash home. He'll get over the top of him, I think, in race number 7. Long shot, Avellino. No luck at all first up. Gets back up to the trip he's won over before. He's off a good mark. Down in class for the second start in class 4. He's a big chance. And the QQP around Dances with Dragon. Mr. Genuine Pavlovsky in there as well. Those are all the best, but the best on Sunday, of course, is the Classic Mile. Really looking forward to that.
Absolutely, Andrew. It's a fabulous race, $10 million. We're going to learn a lot more about the 4-year-olds at set weights.
All right, brilliant stuff. And all odds on, Paul, at the end.
Yeah, it looks like the last 3 runners, it looks like they all could be odds on, so it could be a very skinny treble if they all last salute.
Yeah, and if Thou Shall Sing wins, then Paul will give us a rendition of something.
You can sing Mickey.
All right, well, that's the show. Thanks for watching on behalf of Paul Brett and the rest of the team. Hopefully we'll see you at Sha Tin on Sunday when we will be racing to win.
Good night.